What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Electric B2B show. How's it going, Zoli?
Hey everyone, how's it going?
We've got some controversial and exciting and sexy topics for you today. And we're also going to cover a few things. So this time, rather than jumping on one specific and particular topic, we're gonna be talking about more than one thing, we'll have more than one topic, okay? And the first is that we're just out of an almost 3-hour workshop, which we did for a few companies, primarily SaaS, but also development companies. And this was an awesome workshop that I did with my friend Zoli here. How was it?
I think it was a lot of fun, honestly. This was the first time that we have done something like this, but the attendance was great. I'm not even sure how many people we had, but I think it was like over 10 people.
No, we had over 20.
Over 20, really? Okay.
We had 20 something people from like eight or nine companies, I think. So
yeah.
It was a big experience. It was awesome.
And we got like feedback instantly after the workshop. At least 2 guys reached out to me and they said that it was a lot of fun and they really appreciate it. So you'll probably see the end results of the workshop or some bits here and there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we even got a video testimonial, right? So one of the participants was just so happy and satisfied that he just sent us a video testimonial.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. So we were glad to hear. Did anything surprise you? Because we had breakout rooms and we were, all the companies were brainstorming about some of the things that we recommend that they do thinking on. So they did some guided thinking. And so they went into breakout rooms on Zoom. And we were jumping in and out of breakout rooms. But did anything interesting come up for you, Zoli? Like anything that surprised you or something?
I mean, honestly, I know that I started with this, but just the attendance in itself was great. And I'm saying this again because often we'd see with our clients and customers that they are really afraid of jumping into something. And it's quite hard to start something with them because of, trying to aim for perfect and trying to just tweak it until it becomes the best version as it could be. And honestly, with this workshop, again, is just a great testimonial to if you just spend a bit of time with it and what you put out makes sense or is relevant to the people that you're putting it out for.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have to be perfect because this was by far not perfect. It was the first time for us. We've done it in like a few weeks. Or maybe even less than that. And everyone was really proactive. Everyone was really, they really seemed to enjoy it. So I would go into like the breakout rooms where they were doing the exercises and everyone was just like super proactive doing it. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Just for full disclosure, I want to share with you guys like how we prepared for this. Okay. Because this was intended to be on our behalf, a very strong and proactive content play. And it's the first time we did this format. So obviously we've got the podcast and, we've spoken at events here and there, but this is the first time clear through on something that is more than a podcast interview. And we immediately dove into like an almost 3-hour workshop that had breakout rooms and a lot of interaction. And Zoli, I have ClickUp open where I was tracking time for everything. How much time do you think we all spent preparing for the workshop, which by the way, on the surface, it was just a landing page where people could sign up and pay. And then the rest was us getting ready, putting together a really simple slideshow. And that's about it, like preparing, rehearsing, doing.
So all of us together, yeah. I mean, difficult to say, but I would say maybe a full week of work, maybe a bit more than that.
Yeah, because, okay, this feels like something really significant, which I think it is. Like based on the feedback we got from participants so far, it is significant and it helped them a lot to move in the direction of setting up a mini campaign, an experiment, an ABM experiment, and just to like grasp what it is that ABM is and how it connects marketing and sales. But according to ClickUp and my time tracking, I'm looking at the screen. So it's less than 29 hours.
Wow.
Okay. And that's all of us. And we fiddled around, like we screwed around a lot with the websites. So we were dropping some extra hours there. But every time you have some things that go way overboard and take a lot more time than expected. So all in all, so 29 plus like the 3 hours we spent presenting, like it's well under a week of work for one person, but obviously three of us were involved in this. So this goes to show that something that feels very valuable to your audience can be set up quick and dirty.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and
like
honestly,
you said, it doesn't have, like, we were not shooting for perfection. I didn't even know what perfect would have been. Like, we could have had nicer slides. We could have had them like designed graphically, but that wasn't like, people weren't here for pretty slides. They were here for action, for breakout sessions, for direction.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and again, it was just a testimonial to, if you want to be doing something, it's much more important what you're actually putting out there. What is the content of what you're putting out there compared to how pretty it looks, and you know how perfect it is.
To get shit live fast. That's the mantra, right? Okay. Yeah. So this reminds me of another topic that we've really been talking about this for months, and we've been meaning to share this with you guys on the Electric B2B show, but here it goes. And it's that right now, like, having spoken to several companies, having had deeper conversations with companies now about their marketing and their ABM strategies, it became very clear that people are still very much focused on marketing tactics. So what we're seeing in the marketplace right now is that many companies are hyper focused on hacks and tactics and stuff that is supposed to get results fast. And what we've been witnessing, and what other people smarter than us have been saying, is that these hacks and these tactics are going to work less and less and less. And Zoli, do you have any input on why that is the case?
Yeah, so what we've been seeing, as you said as well, and what we see with like maybe more seasoned marketers as well, or people with, like, you know, huge huge businesses, huge clients as businesses, is that social media and then search ads and everything related to that, like all of the new channels that have been coming out for the past whatever decade, and all of the new tools and gadgets gave an edge to these PPC focused companies, or companies that were focused on all of these marketing tactics, as you said, which really worked out for a while, because one, they were new channels, and then two, they gave a lot of new abilities to these people. So you could, you know, target people better. You could get your message to the right people on the right time with a much higher chance. But what we are seeing is that, just as it happened back in the time with mass media, just as it happened with whatever, with like TV spots and all of that, as competition gets abundant and a lot more people are competing for the, you know, the same awareness,
Eyeballs, minds, hearts.
Exactly. Now, just being able to target people is just not enough anymore. Being able to target the right people at the right time could be a great tactic before, because, you know, even if your messaging sucked, even if you didn't know how to talk to these people, if you just happen to find the people at the very bottom of the funnel who were actually looking for the solution that you were providing, if you were putting that solution in front of them when they were actually looking for it, basically you just, you know, scored a touchdown. That's what you were looking for.
Yeah.
But
in B2B, in B2B, this translated into heavy outbound. So what you do is just, you call up a shitload of people, and if they're in the market to buy, then they're going to get on a phone call with you, and you take it from there. And then you lead a little bit, you provide value, and then you close the sale. So this heavy outbound approach used to work and still works to an extent today, in certain industries, but this is less and less the case. You have to get more sophisticated, because number one, the way people are buying is changing. So, and specifically in B2B, you know, the push tactic and what used to work before is less and less tolerated and preferred. And people really expect to undergo a much more proactive and positive and constructive buying experience. So that's one thing. And the other thing is just, competition is just so freaking tough, as you said, Zoli, that, you know, there have been many businesses that were built up on Google ads, like put out the Google ads, cheap clicks, landing page, convert, bam. Same thing with Facebook ads, same thing with SEO. And number one, these channels are more and more crowded. Therefore, price of advertising is going up. It's getting harder and harder to beat the system. because, for example, in SEO, you have stuff like these snippet results and the shopping results and the quick answers that Google now gives you on the search engine results page. And you have all sorts of things that will push the organic results and your hard-earned #1 spot down the list. And you're left with what? And these things happen overnight. And you can't complain to Google, hey, why did you introduce this feature? Your hard-earned #1 spot suddenly gets a lot less clicks from one day to the other.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is, even though there might still be some of these tactics that are working, and there probably always will be some, backdoors or whatever that lets you get around the system and maybe target people in a better way. You can always do that, but it really comes down to, if you're not able to speak to the people that might not be at the end of the funnel, that might not have that intent to buy, then you will, after a while, just cap this. You wouldn't be able to, add more tactics to, you wouldn't be able to just get around the competition, because they might have more money and there just might be, more and more choices. And, if you're giving people like 1 billion choices and they all pretty much look the same to them, they will likely, as you would or I would as well, choose the ones that speak to them, differently. And it's not just like, hey, this is super good for you and this is another amazing tool, but for some reason, with the messaging, actually speaks to what they are looking for.
Yeah. And what can you do about this? So before you get too depressed, don't worry, there is a way out. We have a solution for you. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's actually good news for those of us who at least think that we can do a good job with marketing, because what's happening when things get crowded and more competitive, and when you can't win with the tactics and tricks and hacks anymore, then you need a better strategy. And in marketing and positioning, this means, well, better positioning for one, and better messaging and a better approach to the entire funnel. Okay, one of the things that we need to touch on here is that #1, you have a lot of competition at the bottom of the funnel, where people are solution aware, they know what they want, and they've gone through the majority of their buying journey. Okay, and according to statistics cited by like everyone and their brother, I think it's from Gartner originally, these statistics say that by the time a B2B buyer reaches out to a vendor, they will have completed 69% of the buying cycle, of their buying journey. So what's left for you, if you catch them at that stage, so when they sign up for a demo with you, or when they contact you to actually talk to somebody, they will have done almost all of their research and they're just comparing options. So at that point, you're probably too late to educate and to frame their thinking. So there's very little room at this point in the majority of B2B buying scenarios to make a change in how people approach their problem. So what you do is you go and target further up the funnel. So before they are ready to buy, before they are in buying mode, well, one stage that precedes that is the problem awareness stage. So they're not actively looking for a solution yet, but they are aware that they have this problem, and they're more open to education. Now, if you're in a competitive market, even that is not enough. Even that is not enough, because there will be many competitors who are already targeting companies who are at this stage in the buying cycle, in the buying journey. And so what you do is you go to the very top of the funnel, which is the unaware people. So companies who will probably need your solution down the road, but they don't even know that they have or they will have the problem that your solution solves. Okay, so you go to the problem unaware, or the completely unaware crowds, and you start talking there. And guess what? Your funnel is going to be incredibly long because these people are not in buying mode. And if you try to pitch them, then you're going to do them and yourself a disservice, because what they need is content and education and connection from you to make them aware of the possibilities or their problems.
Yeah, and honestly, like a lot of much smarter people than we are have been talking about this for years, really. Maybe they have just, been saying different things along the lines, but like if you think about Ryan Deiss, or if you think about April Dunford with regards to positioning, they always talk about how it's really important to know who you are talking to, and maybe even, create your own media and start setting up like a podcast that we have been talking about before, and we are doing it right now as well. Or, start building your own community. Really just anything that can talk to people who, as you said, are at that point maybe unaware, but you can, target them without actually specifically just targeting them with an offer. You are targeting them by creating relevant content to them, may that be an article, may that be a podcast, whatever, which obviously, as you said, takes time. So your pipeline will be much longer, but then you will have a much higher chance of targeting people that are not bombarded by a billion other companies with the same sort of offers.
Exactly. So whenever things get tough like this, it's usually the best strategy and the best execution that wins. It's not the best juggler, as Ryan Deiss put it in his podcast. Like the past 10 years, they've been the decade of the jugglers in digital marketing, because if you could juggle, the PPC settings right and the targeting right and everything, you could get away with shitty messaging and bad positioning because you just caught the person at the right time. That's no longer that case.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually really like, I guess you were referring to that, but there was a podcast, Brian Deiss, in which he said, when all media becomes mass media, it's the messaging that reigns, which was a really good like one-liner, because it basically just talked to the same idea of, if you are unable to speak to your target in the way that actually speaks to them, so something that they would actually react to, then you can be like the best PPC marketer out there, best guy at SEO. They just wouldn't choose you on the long run because it's not something that is speaking to them.
Exactly. And that's one thing that surprised people kind of in this workshop, that we were on the one hand very strategic, and then we gave them a bunch of tactics and like playbooks on how to execute account-based marketing. And like right in the middle of it in our framework, we have the set up the proper messaging. So once you have your ICP and your target market defined, then you want to set up some killer messaging. And we spent relatively a lot of time on that. So we have about 4 messaging frameworks that each help create the right message for the right audience. And we spent quite a bit of time on this. And of course, we could have gone a lot deeper, but we still spent some time on this. And I could see in people's eyes, they were like, okay, this is cool. But they were kind of surprised at this because they're used to marketing and digital marketing being full of tactics. So you have big high level thinking, the strategic narratives and talking, and then you have the tactics. But in between the two, you have the message that reigns when all media becomes mass media, as you said.
Yeah,
not you, but Ryan Deiss.
Ryan Deiss said, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but just one last thing, which I think was something that really hit the nail on the head today, was when we talked about one of our clients and how when we were researching their competition and we were doing a market research for them, what we saw is that everybody in that field was pretty much saying the same thing. They were all talking about their features and how what they're providing is like, from a tech perspective is amazing and all of that. And then we just started to talk to their clients, so basically people who they are serving, and we quite quickly realized that all that is, of course, really fancy sounding and really just shiny, but it's not something that they are actually interested in. What they are actually interested in is just having more customers converting and all of that. Yeah. And that made us realize that instead of talking about all the high-end features, what all of the other competition or all of their competitors are talking about, we should actually focus on how they can make their customers happy. I mean, their customers happy. And, just talk about this happiness enablement aspect instead of focusing on the 1 billionth amazing feature.
Yeah. And even the benefits that some of the competitors were bringing up in their messaging were just like technology benefits that, that might interest the like a technology leader at the client's company, but it doesn't really influence the buyer persona, which is in this case, the marketing leader or the CEO. So what we did was we looked for the bigger picture outcome that these people are looking for, that they need. And there's a shortcut to this because I don't know whose quote this is, but They say that in business, every solution is geared to either help you make money or save money. Like there's nothing else. And it's crucial that you connect your solution, your software, your services, whatever, to either making more money / getting more clients, or keeping more clients, or saving money. Okay. Yeah. So if you're able to directly connect the dots in this respect, then it happens. And in so many technology markets, B2B software, like it's just not happening. People are not doing that. Companies are still battling on features, and they know they're supposed to write down benefits, so they'll write down like some cheesy benefits and cheesy outcomes, but they'll very often miss the bigger picture, which is, how you contribute to growth with your solution and keeping talent or whatever, and how you make their lives easier, the top decision makers' lives easier, or the challengers' lives easier.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it usually comes down to them not really actually talking to the customers and not actually understanding what the target market wants. They just know how to target them. They know how to find the people, but the ones who are, already really interested and at the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah, you got it. So you've got to be talking to customers, definitely. Like that's where it all starts, and that's where it all ends. So you've got to be like customer obsessed and be talking to them all the time. But it's not that simple, because you've got to, like, they're very rarely going to tell you the solution, like what you need to put in your messaging or what you need to put into your product. They're going to talk about their problems and their challenges and their dreams and their desires and their pains or whatever. It's your job as a product person or as a marketer or as a CEO to like connect the dots for them and help them see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
All right, Zoli, it was good chatting with you again.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That was fun.
Let's catch up next time. Bye.
Guys, bye-bye.